What's up, Facebook world? Brandon Hayes here, and I'm excited to come to you with probably the most epic story that has happened at least in the last decade. At least in the last decade inside of network marketing. And that is the story of Mr. Chris Estes. I hope you're watching. Tell me where you're coming in from. What part of the world are you coming in from? I know usually we have people from all over the world that are watching these Facebook Lives, from Australia and Southeast Asia. We have people in Europe. We have people in Africa that usually are watching, from USA, Canada, Mexico, sometimes South America. And so let me know what part of the world you're coming in from. Let me know what part of the world you're watching from. And also, tell me if you're watching this live. If you're watching live, drop a 1 down in the comments. If you're watching on replay, drop a 2 down in the comments, and we're going to knock this thing out of the park tonight. I promise you, this will be value. As a matter of fact, drop the word value down in the comments, or just drop that little fire emoji. You guys know what I'm talking about, that little fire emoji. I use that on a daily basis, man. Drop that fire emoji down in the comments, because I promise you, it's going to be value for you. And you saw the title, you saw the name in the title of this Facebook Live. You saw the untold story, Chris Estes, from school teacher and coach in small town Kentucky to earning millions of dollars, and more importantly, helping other people do the same. You're going to hear that story tonight. And this is a story that hasn't been told enough, in my opinion, over the last 10 years. It's not been told enough. Most people don't know this story that are inside the industry. Now, if you're a part of the company that Chris Estes is a part of, then you probably know the story. In fact, you probably take it for granted. In fact, you probably aren't telling this story enough if you're a part of his company. But what I'm telling you is that this is a valuable story for all of us, no matter what company we're in. It's valuable to the industry because it's not about him per se. It's about the story. It's a story of hope and inspiration that somebody from anywhere can do anything, and somebody that maybe starts and doesn't know much. It doesn't matter what you know when you start. It matters that what you do. And we're going to talk about all those things tonight. Matter of fact, I'm going to make sure that Mr. Chris Estes has been able to join us. I appreciate all the comments already. Looks like you guys are coming in from all over the world. And let me see if I can get Chris on here really quick. Just give me 1 second. All right. I saw him join, so I know he's on here. All right, cool. I sent an invite, Chris. Hopefully you'll be able to make it on. Let me know if you see that invite, Chris. So this is going to be incredible, guys. I promise you're going to love it. Do me a favor, hit that little share button. You're going to see a little share button at the bottom. Hit that. Invite anybody that wants to be inspired, anybody that's looking for 2018 to be their breakthrough year, anybody that's looking to emerge into a new sector, a new element of their life. Look, I promise you, you want to share this with them. You want to be sure that they get access to this Facebook Live. So be sure and hit the share button and invite those people to see it. Let's see, Chris. It's saying that I have you invited, Chris. I don't know if you're able to. Maybe you might want to pop off of it really quickly, and then pop back on. It's going to be. You'll see a little invite. All right, cool. Chris wants to be in my video. Man, I feel special. All right, we're going to approve it. All right, so. There he is. What's up, Chris? Chris is the bestest Estes. What's going on, man? Good to
What's
see
up,
you.
Mr. Creating a Craze, Brandon Hayes?
Everything is up, my friend. My income, my attitude, my hopes and dreams, my opinions.
That's what we call a setup,
it's
man. I
been
was setting you up for that. I knew what was coming on that.
That's right. All right, so I've already kind of set this up a little bit, Chris, and let everybody know, what it is that we're going to be talking about. And in my opinion, I mean, there's been a few. You're one of those anomalies, Chris. You're one of those people that doesn't do it for the fame. You don't do it, to get recognition or notoriety. I mean, I've spoken on some pretty big stages, and I've spoken in those stages, and I'm like, and I've called you like right before or right after, and I'm like, where you at, dude? Like Like, you've done way more than I've done. Why are you not you need to be speaking. And you're like, nah, I don't want to do that stuff, man. And it's so cool to see somebody like you that really just does this for the reasons that everybody gets involved in network marketing anyway. You don't get involved because you want to speak on a big stage. You get involved because you want freedom, or you want to retire your spouse, you want to retire your kids, you want to retire your parents, or you want to do something, you want to help more people, whatever it is. And you stay true to that. You know, you've got probably this, and this is my opinion, but I think there are some factual things that we could say, you know, Brandon's probably right. You've got probably the most incredible, most unique story and most inspiring story in the last decade in network marketing, in my opinion. And there's some other great stories out there. There's some stories that could rival it. But in my opinion, if you add all the elements in, if you add in everything that we're going to talk about tonight, in my opinion, it's one of the most incredible stories in the last 10 years at least. And so we're going to dive into some of that content, but I'll let you just kind of say hello really quick, and then I'll dive into some questions, and we'll rock this thing out, man. It's going to be good. By the way, hit share, everybody. Hit share, and I promise you, this is going to be valuable for you.
Well, I'm excited to be here, Brandon. Appreciate you inviting me to your personal page. And, of course, hello to all the network marketing community, whether you're a part of our company or you're just in network marketing. We're here to create value for you and give you some hope. And I think that's the uniqueness really of my story, Brandon. We'll get into the questions in a minute. Is my story is a story of hope, man, because I don't come from a background of business. I don't come from a background of sales or network marketing. I'd never been a part of a network marketing company before, and later this year I will be celebrating 10 years in the same company, the only 10 years of my career. So I'm super grateful. I understand how rare that is, but you'll find out real quick. I'm just an ordinary guy who did a little bit extra to create some success. So I appreciate you setting this up, Brandon.
Yeah, I love it, man. So, and you hit on a point that I don't even have in my questions, but I wanted to frame this up. So I want everyone to understand that's watching this right now. By the way, I see many people that have shared this. So if you share this, type shared in the comments. I'm going to do my best to try and catch it. And I'll try to give you a shout out if you do share it. So just type it in the comments if you share this. But listen, did you hear what Chris said? He said he's coming up on 10 years in the industry. All right. But this is the cool part. This is his only he's only been in one company. Do you understand? Not just in network marketing, in any industry. Do you understand how rare and unique that is? Now, this is a gentleman that has earned millions of dollars, has helped other people on his team, and quite frankly, other people that aren't on his team, earn millions of dollars. And this is his first experience in this particular industry. Like, you look at insurance, you look at real estate, you look at anything, and there's all kinds of multi-million-dollar earners in every industry. But did they do it in their very first company, their very first experience? They've only been with one company? Guys, I'm telling you, it doesn't happen. It's very, very rare. So what we're looking at here is something very unique. When you study Chris's story, when you look at his experience, he knocked it out of the park. He blew this thing out of the water, and he did it his very first time. I don't know, in the last 10 years, I don't know of anybody that has achieved what he's achieved. He's the #1 earner in his company globally. He's the #1 earner. And he's the rookie. He's the new guy. He's the guy that didn't have any experience. And he did it in his first company. He killed it. All right. So I want to frame that up. I want to be sure and pour the proper edification onto Mr. Chris Estes so you guys understand who we're talking about here. So if you haven't shared yet, be sure and share. Type shared in the comments. I see so many people. We got Chastity. I saw Leslie earlier. We got Colleen. We got Jason Harper. What's up, man? All right. So first question, Chris, if I can just go ahead and dive into the first question.
Do it.
What was a day? Because I think this is important. I think this is important for people to understand, because people think, oh, well, maybe Chris was kind of, maybe Chris had, all these business accolades before. Why don't you share with us, Chris, what was a day in the life of Chris Estes like before you joined your first network marketing company?
You know what, Brandon, if I were to use one word, everyone watching right now, whether it's live or on the replay, I think everyone watching could fill in the blank as to if I were using one word, what my life looked like. And that's busy, man. You know, I was extremely busy. Isn't that a commonality in network marketing? People, when they don't join, they say I'm too busy, or when they get in, they say I'm too busy. I can't make it in a big way. And so, my life looked a lot like this, Brandon. I woke up at 5 a.m. I traveled about 30 minutes from my home to get in an indoor swimming pool and do some laps. I then left that to go to school because I usually had early duty, or I ran a program that allowed kids to come in early to be active. We had a school health initiative on being active, and I had my bike trainer, man. So while they were being active, I was on my bike pedaling, and the first class of the day for me was my planning period. And so I would go out to the track and I would put in my run miles. And the reason I did that, so I was a competitive triathlete, but that's how busy I was, Brandon. I had to get all of that done before school because I had teaching all day. After that, I was responsible for more kids because I was coaching multiple sports in every season of the year, whether it be tennis or basketball or baseball. I was coaching. And, when that was over, Brandon, by the time I got to the house, man, it was time to eat, go to bed, and repeat the process, man. So my life was really somewhat robotic. It involved a lot of emotion because I was dealing with middle school and high school kids, but that was my life. Extremely busy, full-time jobs, part-time life. And, my introduction to the industry then took me on a different journey. So that's before network marketing, Brandon.
So you got in. I happen to know the story, right? You got in. A friend of yours shared network marketing with you, shared a product with you that you felt like you could get behind, you could believe in. You felt like it would help you, help your family, help your friends. But you really got excited about the business side of it and saw the potential to create a life unlimited. And you saw all that. I know. I've heard the story. You shared it with me many times. But man, something's different. Something about, and listen, I've interviewed you many times, like over the phone. We've spoken for hours. We've spoken in person for hours. Something is different about you, about what you did. You see, there's many people that can relate to everything you just said about being busy, about being a school teacher, being a coach, caring about kids, caring about families, investing into other people. There's lots of people watching this right now that can relate to many of the things that you said, but something that you did when you got started in network marketing, for some reason, you didn't do what most people do. And that is they get in, they don't do a whole lot, and they just sort of tread water for a little while. They're 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Why don't you talk to me a little bit about what do you attribute your success to? What did your life look like? So we talked about what did Chris Estes' life look like prior to network marketing. Why don't we talk a little bit about what did your life look like when you got started in network marketing? And there might be a couple of phases. I don't know. There might be before you went to your first big event or after, or you might give a couple of different phases. You might have kicked it up a notch at certain points, but what did your life look like during those first few years in network marketing when you first joined your first company, your only company?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I'll go back real quick and just simply say this. As I did an audit, Brandon, as I was introduced to network marketing, I saw a vehicle I'd never really looked at in my entire life. I was kind of kicking myself, Brandon, that I'd been introduced multiple times, and I'd passed on even looking at the industry of what it could provide someone like me. He's working full-time jobs, had a part-time life. I was going to spend my life raising everybody else's kids and never going to see my own kids if I didn't make some form of change. And then a friend introduced me, knocked on my door. I trusted the friend, and that's a powerful training tip in itself, Brandon, is trust. And I believe network marketing, here's a pearl for you. I believe network marketing rewards you for the life you live before you ever start. And what's cool about the circle that I had been able to create in my community as a teacher and a coach, being trustworthy and doing what I said I was going to do. I think you should do, say what you mean what you say, do what you say you're going to do. I had built some trust or credibility with some people. One of those is the man who introduced me actually to network marketing. I trusted him, he trusted me. And let me tell you, when I looked at this, I said, man, this looks awesome. Somebody, I can see where some people would do this in a big way. It's not going to be me. I'm not going to do it in a big way because I don't have the skills. I don't have the experience. It's not going to be me. So for any of you who are thinking like I thought back almost 10 years ago, don't think it can't be you. And if you're thinking that, that's okay. I just went as far as I could see, and when I got there, I went further, Brandon. That was one little thing. But here's what I'll tell you. I was scared to death. I was fearful, not fearless. A lot of times you see people who are in the industry and they're so-called experts and they talk about not being scared and they talk about being fearless. Let me tell you, I'm the opposite, man. I'm the normal, everyday, ordinary guy from a two-lighted town in the state of Kentucky where front teeth are optional. And for me to look at this deal, to look at this industry and vehicle, and to see an opportunity to go out and help people and help myself at the same time, I thought that was really neat. But it scared me because it was going to require, Brandon, for me to do some things that was uncomfortable. And I believe this to be true. We've heard this saying, success is found right outside of your comfort zone. I believe that to be true, Brandon. I had to get uncomfortable, but what did those first few years look like? Number one is I didn't go crazy in the beginning. I struggled in the beginning. I often say it doesn't mean I didn't sell a lot, because I did. I sold my car, and I had to do some things in order to get by, to get to the next week and get to the next month. Those first few months were difficult for me. I struggled. I had lots of rejection, headache, heartache, disappointment. Many of you can relate because you're experiencing it right now. That was me. I didn't have any successful skills. Nobody was saying, oh, Chris joined the company, let's all jump on board with him. I'd never done anything. In fact, they were going, what's he thinking? He's a teacher and a coach. He don't know anything about making money. He doesn't know anything about business. I even had a special message board back in the day, Brandon. They created a special message board to talk about me in my little town. That was the ridicule and rejection that was happening for me on the front end. But I did go to an event. You mentioned that a second ago, which allowed me to catch a vision. Some people, why y'all keep going to events? Why y'all talk about events? Because there's always something at an event. And everybody gets something different, Brandon. So it can't be, it's going to be that thing. It's always going to be that thing. It wasn't. For me, it wasn't about oh man, this is just, the dancing was great. The music was awesome. It was about seeing ordinary people walk the stage as top earners and me go, I can do that. It was me seeing the owner of the company and go, man, that's a man of integrity. I can attach myself to that. And I left that event and did something that, this is my edge, Brandon. This is the edge of those who do it big and create momentum in network marketing. I built with something called speed. I'm a big believer in building fast. Most people talk about, it's a marathon, not a sprint. And that's true. There's truth to that statement. But by gosh, I'm competitive. I like to win. And if I'm going to run a marathon, I ain't trying to finish last, man. I'm trying to win. And so I knew that in order for me to create traction, I had to take massive action. I had to build this thing with an intent. That was my only edge. I didn't have talent. I didn't have skills. I didn't have experience. What I did have, though, was the same thing that a top earner in any other company had, which was 24 hours in a day. And I said, you know what? If they're so good and they can get and create this in this period of time, I'm just going to beat them with frequency, intensity, using my time, and I'm going to build with speed. I'm going to knock this, I'm going to go. In fact, I've often said that I went through the no, yes. I tried to get through to the yes as quick as I could, because what happens is when you get that yes, you build confidence, you build belief. You create a new excitement or enthusiasm that's real and genuine. It's not fake. It has substance to it. And when you have excitement with substance, people feel it because it's conviction. And so that's what I had, Brandon. I got rejected. I got punched in the face, jabbed in the side, knocked down. I got back up as quick as I could because I was going to seek out a yes. And I often have said this. I talk about sucking. And I talked about sucking in the beginning. I suck. But I sucked so fast so I could get to the end of the word. See, most people, they suck and then they quit. And all they can say is, oh, that company didn't work. And they start pointing fingers, or I just wasn't very good. But if they'd have stayed with it longer and went through it faster, what would have happened is they would have finished the word, and they would have went succeed. And that's how you create success, man. If I were to look at, man, what's that thing? What's that special edge that Chris had with no experience, never being in business, never being in network marketing? Well, number one is, man, I built with speed. I knew that I could do things faster than I could equal somebody who was better than me using my competitive edge. And of course, you got to have some. You go to Napoleon Hill, man, you've got to have some desire, some fire in you. I've said this before, the strength of your reason will determine the length of your season. Some of you, what happens is, I'll repeat that, man. That's pretty good. The strength of your reason will determine the length of your season. Meaning, if you have a real desire to do this in a big way, that's the strength. So that's the strength of your reason. It will determine how long you do this deal. I mean, we sell people in network marketing on being able to get into this thing, paying a price, going to work, missing your kids' ball games, missing your daughter's recital, missing the daddy-daughter dance, and doing it, but not forever. That's not the goal. In fact, I would have never done this if it was, hey, Chris, I've got another job for you. You're going to have to make sacrifices and pay this price for the next 30 years. I'd have said, no, I'll just stay in teaching and coaching because we get spring break, fall break, Christmas break, summer break. At least I get a little break. And that's not what happens here. But here's what I learned through that speed, Brandon, and that desire is if I could compress a 30-year teaching career into 3 to 5 years, take all the disappointment, headache, heartache, all the hits and the bangs and the bumps and the bruises, that over 3, 4, 5 years with speed, intensity, use that desire to trump the excuse. Because it's easy, Brandon, to not, it's like, man, I've been hit so much the last couple of days, I'm going to take the day off. But if you have that desire and you understand the rule of the game of speed, you keep going anyway. What happened is I was able to compress it. I was able to compress that into a 3, 4, 5 year run to then be able to walk away. And I know we'll get to that later, but my life as I got in those first few years, Brandon, it was massive unbalance. In fact, I would say it was unhealthy unbalance. And I could have, now this is what's cool about this call, as you all can learn from me. I made many mistakes on the front end in my personal life. I didn't fertilize areas of my life that were important, and I paid for those because I put 100% effort in this business using that speed. I went a little bit overboard, man, in regards to my intensity. And so, that's another training for another day, but, anybody can reach out to me. I don't care, what company you're in. I'll be happy to talk to you, help you. So I'll stop for a minute, man. I get fired up, as you know, about this.
No, this is good, man. This is why we're doing this, man. We're unpacking some of this stuff. So let me ask you this. I know like I said, I've interviewed you, I've called you, I've said, hey man, tell me about this portion of your business or this period of your business. But I know you've shared some numbers with me before, and you may not know the exact numbers. That's okay. But what, like in a year, like how many days, because you were still a full-time teacher and coach. You still working a job, like most of the people watching this right now. What were you doing? Like how many days a year were you building this thing? Were you doing like, just like a home event once a week? Were you doing like, doing maybe a call every once in a while? Or, just give us an idea of what that intensity for at least for the first couple of years,
Man,
what it looked like.
I was known, Brandon, in my school, and I tried to respect the time in which I was supposed to be there and invest that in the kids. But in between periods or classes, they had little breaks, right? And so what I would do is set up calls. I had about 8 opportunities. Man, I was in the janitor's closet. I was in the bathroom. I was underneath the bleachers doing connecting calls with people, to doing the deal while I was still teaching kids and doing. And then, times have changed. When I did this back in 08, 9, 10, 11, the social media craze wasn't what it is today. And just like we're doing this live, we're able to touch what will be thousands of people who, if they listen, they take some notes, they can be inspired, they can get a few nuggets that might direct them to success. We didn't have that outlet when I started. So I had to do more, be out more than a person that does this big today would have to be. But, there were a couple of years where I was out several hundred days out of the year. I was traveling, doing events, meeting with people. And I remember, Brandon, traveling a couple of hours to meet with you when you were taking a look at the company. And all I knew was you were a snot-nosed kid. You were 20-nothing, knew nothing. You thought you knew something. And I was taking a gamble. And let me tell you, here's something else. If someone were to say, Chris, what do you attribute to your success, other than some of the things, but other than getting lucky, of course? Yeah, I got lucky, man. That's what people like to say. And I understand why they say that, because they're trying to take themselves to a normalcy because maybe it didn't happen for them. So it's easier for them to say you got lucky or I got lucky, and that's fine. Whatever. But this requires risk. You've heard you can't steal second and keep your foot on first. This business requires risk. It requires gamble. And most people, Brandon, they're not willing to take the risk and make the gambles. And the gambles I'm talking about is something you'll never get back. There's lots of money out there. We can make lots of money. There's tons of it. But I'll never get back 5 minutes ago. I'll never get back like yesterday. I'll never get back those years I gambled all that time. And guess what? Most of that time turned out to produce nothing. Zero. Maybe y'all drop that down. Zero. But, Brandon, it only took a few of those events over the course of several hundred that created mass momentum, because I was willing to gamble some time, gamble a day, gamble a ball game, take a few risks that led me into finding a Brandon Hayes or finding some of the other top leaders that in reality had never done network marketing before. And so I think that can be a great value for folks.
So let me ask you this. Those of you guys that are watching, how many of you guys have already gotten some value? Because here's the deal. We're about halfway through this Facebook Live right now, and it's going to get gooder. Hashtag get gooder. I'm telling you guys.
Kentucky too,
listen, I'm from Kentucky too. I'm that snot-nosed kid from Nowheresville, Kentucky. Chris found me and said, man, I don't know if that kid can do it or not. But here's the deal. Here's the deal, guys. I'm telling you, it's going to get gooder. So if you've gotten value from this, drop value down in the comments. Show Chris some love. Let him know that you're getting value from this. There's been at least like 47 quotes already that you could steal and use in your presentation tomorrow. And so what I'm telling, and you know what? He's never going to know if you stole it. So just go ahead and take it. But here's the thing. What he's saying is, and this, I've heard Chris say this many times. In regards to this question, what did your life look like? What do you attribute your success to? Listen, Darren Hardy says it best probably. He says it's just hard freaking work, and nobody wants to do it. Most people overestimate what they can do in a year. They underestimate what they can do in 10 years. And what this guy has done in 10 years is unrivaled. There are not – you can say what you want. Say what you want about how he looks. Say what you want about how smart he is, or say what you want about any of that. But what I'm telling you is that there's not many people that have rivaled what this guy has done in network marketing over the last 10 years in terms of the full package. All right. And so he's done it. And I've heard him say this many times. You got to be willing to be temporarily unbalanced so that you can eventually be permanently balanced. And we're going to talk about that in just a few minutes. But before we do, there's something unique and special about network marketing. Now, Chris has a unique and special story inside of network marketing, but network marketing as a whole, there's something unique and different about it in general. And that is that, you know what? Not only, and it's an added benefit too, not only do you get to, earn a lot of money if you put in the work, you do the sacrifices, all the things that Chris just mentioned. If you're willing to pay the price, man, you can reap the rewards. But the cool part about network marketing is that you get to help a lot of other people do the same thing, and if you do it right. Now, there are some people that don't do it right, and maybe they make a lot of money, but their people don't. But one of the unique things about you, Chris Estes, is that you created this wave of momentum. You created not a moment in time. You created a movement in time. And I'm telling you that when I saw this, I was like, man, this is unique. This is special. This is different than what I've seen, because you created such a movement that not only did you earn millions of dollars, you had many other people that earned millions of dollars, many other people that earned six figures, many other people that earned five figures, and a whole slew of people that were making an extra 500 to 1,000. You created a culture. You created a movement. And so I want to talk about that, because I think that probably a lot of the people that are watching this right now, they would probably they don't want to be sitting on the beach by themselves, man. They don't want to be like living life unlimited, with no friends. Like, they want the people that are watching this right now, they want to bring a team with them. They want to create other $1 million earners. They want to create other six-figure earners. And so maybe let's unpack that a little bit and talk about that a little bit. What are some of the key elements that allowed you to be able to create a movement? And by the way, I see lots of people, I see all the comments coming in. Drop some fire down here, because you've gotten some fire. I know you have. Drop the fire emoji down here, and let Chris know that you're liking this stuff, because this is good stuff. And if you share this, type share it in the comments for me so I can know. If I see you, I'll try to shout you out. I've seen several that have shared it. But Chris, let's talk about this movement that you created. You did it in a relatively short amount of time. And it takes something special to create a movement like you created. And so let's talk about that a little bit. What did you do? How did you do that? How did you create that type of movement?
Well, and you keep, and I appreciate you giving me all kinds of credit, man. And I love, it's always nice to get the pat on the back. But I think so many times people they say my, or they say I, and we really have to turn the me into the we. And, I'm a big believer in the pace of the leaders, the speed of the group. And so we are the pace setters. And some of you are like, there's just no leader in my market. Well, until you can find the leader, you got to go ahead and be one. You got to be the leader until you can find one. And, I knew that there was nobody in our state that was involved in the company that I represented back in 2008. And so I knew I was going to have to take the bull by the horn. I was going to have to do some things I was uncomfortable with. Brandon, I'm an introvert naturally, man. I can get in front of middle school kids. I can get in front of kids all day, man. But when I get in front of my peers, man, it's like I got up and I did the Jim Rohn and my mind set down type stuff. And so for me, that was something I had to overcome to say, you know what, if I want to do this big, if I want to get out of working full-time job, have a part-time life, I wanted to really get out of that, I was going to have to get uncomfortable, and I was going to have to set that pace, because that was going to be the speed of the team. I couldn't go tell my team to do something I wasn't willing to do. I've always said that if you want your team to bleed, you got to be willing to hemorrhage for them. You've got to lead by example. And so that was the first thing, is just being the example and setting the expectation. My wife and I, we have 4 kids, and we're all about setting an expectation. We believe our kids can perform at a high level in a multitude of areas of life if we set the proper expectation. And I thought the same thing, because it happened when I taught school, happened when I coached kids. I coached championship teams, had a high-performing class, is setting that expectation. And here's what we did, Brandon. This is not magic here. This isn't anything new, but people overlook some simple stuff. We created a culture. We created a culture of champions. We created a community of something that people wanted to be a part of. See, most people are not recognized after middle school. Most people are not appreciated on a daily basis. I learned the 4 words on people's foreheads that say, make me feel special, make me feel important. And what we did is we created a culture around that we're going to make you feel special. We're going to make you feel important. We're going to recognize you. And here's the big transition is most people that I've learned in network marketing in general, and it's not that they have bad intentions. I think most people have good intentions. I think most people out there are good people, Brandon. I think people make bad choices. I think sometimes people, they lack attention, but they have good intentions. But that don't mean much if you don't. And so I think a lot of people in the industry had rather be famous than have true life unlimited or have choices, options, freedoms, ownership. And for me, and here's an advantage. See, I think also everybody walks into network marketing with an advantage. I think a lot of times we tend to look at what we don't have, but we don't let the thought of what you don't have underestimate the power of what you do have. See, I could have looked at me being an introvert, Brandon, as a negative. But what did it turn out to be as we created this culture, this community, this focus on recognition, making people feel important, is I was able to give the power, I was able to empower other rising stars and give them all the credit. Maybe even for something that I put most of time in, I said, you know what? I don't need the credit. I don't have to be on stage. I'm going to say Brandon did it. I'm going to make them feel so good. It's going to make it so difficult and hard for them to quit when they've had a bad day or a bad week. See, when they wanted to quit the company, when they wanted to quit being a part of network marketing, they didn't, Brandon. They were retained in our community, in our family, in the cohesion and synergy that we created, which was super special. And that stickability, and there's a good word for all of you, maybe to drop down, is creating stickability within your team, within your company. Now, here's what I'll say too, Brandon, is I don't care, all of you watching, whether network marketing company you're a part of, I don't care how good your company is. You can have the greatest company out there today. You can have the best products or services. You can have the greatest leadership, greatest infrastructure, greatest. But if you're not connected specifically to a team organization that's driving some of these culturalistic things that's going to retain and create stickiness, the company may flourish and do awesome, but you are likely not going to have a good experience. And so you want to make sure you're getting tied to an incredible leader, incredible mentors, incredible teams. And, you know, you, Brandon, with the Freedom Network, and there's several other incredible teams within our company. And I know there's great teams out there in network marketing as well, but there's also people that are lost, man. They're in a company that could be good or not, I don't know. But they're kind of like, man, I'm just hanging out over here by myself. And so they're either going to have to generate being the team. And there's few people, Brandon, that can really lead that front. And you got to recognize and know if you can do it or if you can't. And if you can't, you better plug into an incredible resource or team. And, you know, we're fortunate to have several in our company, and your team, Brandon, being one of those. Your team is one that I'm going to be investing a lot of time in because, number one, I believe in you. I believe what you're about. And I believe, you know, we've had conversation. You basically said, man, I'm still in the Chris Estes playbook from back in the day. And, you know, I'm going to emulate that, add in some of the new social media features and pizzazz it up a little bit. But, you know, there you go. And so that was a huge ingredient, Brandon, in regards to how we forced momentum. And here, let me tell you something else. Momentum don't just happen. Man, I'm waiting for momentum. As soon as it happens, Brandon, I'm going to jump in. That's not how it works. You force momentum. You force momentum with massive action, which creates traction. If you have a culture and a community that believes in one another and stands up and fights for one another. And so that's what we had. It's super special. So proud of those team members that stuck through the tough times to help create the momentum, that initial momentum in our company. And Brandon, in really less than 24 months, our organization alone produced close to $100 million in sales to help get the company to its first 100 billion. So it had nothing to do with me so much as the culture we created as a whole.
You created an environment that was conducive for fast growth. And I witnessed it. I mean, I remember when I sat down with you for the very first time, I was actually a part of a different company. And I said, and you remember this conversation. You still make fun of me for it today. But, you know, and I was trying to buck up on you a little bit and whatever. But I remember you talking about, you know, the company, and I was very attracted to the company. It's a great company. But what I was more attracted to was the culture that you were talking about with your team, Team Elite. And I thought, man, Team Elite. First of all, just the name itself. And I know you put some thought into what's the name, you know? So you gotta, for those of you that are watching, you gotta determine what kind of person are you gonna be? What kind of team are you gonna create? What does the culture look like? And if you're not gonna create it, then what type of team are you attracted to? What type of culture are you attracted to? And I remember walking away from our first meeting, Chris, and thinking, you know, I want to be a part of what those guys are doing. I feel like they're about to do something really special. And we did. We went out and did something crazy. I've just got some notes here. I want to recap a little bit if I can. Just some of the things that you talked about here. In summation, I can't sum it all up, but just to sum up some of it, consistency leads to credibility. It's something that I noticed in you, Chris. One, you know, as a leader that was setting the pace, I noticed that you were consistent. You were the same person, you know, whether I saw you in January or whether I saw you in July. You were the same person whether I saw you at 7 a.m. or 7 p.m. You were the same person if I saw you at a big event or if I saw you at a home event. If I saw you to sit down it didn't matter. You were the same. Your consistency led to credibility for me and for your entire organization. And that's a big point. And so simplicity is here's another little quote for you. Simplicity is the language of productivity. Woo! Now, I know this because I witnessed it. I was a part of it, and many other people worked. Many $1 million earners were a part of this. They saw how simple you made it. You made it so simple that anybody could do it. Teachers, coaches, college dropouts, snot-nosed kids from nowhere. You know, anybody could do it, and that's what made it. That's what made it so powerful. It's so simple. Simplicity is the language of productivity. Culture. I think it was Peter Drucker. That I think maybe you were the first person I ever heard say it, but
I stole
Peter
it, man.
Drucker
I stole it.
is the person maybe. I think you stole it from Peter Drucker, I think. He said, culture eats strategy for breakfast. Guys, you don't have to have the best strategy. You don't have to have the best social media. You don't have to have the best system, or, you know, those things are bonuses. Those are good. You want to get those things. And Chris created a great system. He created some great strategies, man. And we went out and dominated with those strategies. But the reason why people stuck and stayed to get their pay, the reason why they did that is because of the culture. The culture leads to stickability, is what he said. I love that word, that stickability. You see, people will, it's not enough to get excited for a week or a month or a year. It's not the person that gets in and gets easily excited. It's not the person that gets in and can get excited for a period of time. It's the person that can get in, stay excited. Now, how do you keep your people excited? How do you keep them, how do you create that stickability? Culture. And that's exactly what Chris Estes mastered. He had some strategies and systems, but his focus was culture. And I can remember leadership retreats and things that kept me just fired up, ready to take over the world because of that culture, because of that stickability. And one more thing is momentum. Listen, for those of you guys, some of you guys that are watching this, there's been over 150 people at once on here. There's probably about 1,000 people that have watched this so far. And I'll tell you this, out of all those people, some of them have maybe experienced some momentum before. Maybe a little bit of momentum, maybe a lot of momentum. So those of you that have experienced momentum before, you know that momentum, it takes the stairs up, but it takes the elevator down. Momentum is something that you don't want to play with this. You want to be intentional in this area. When Big Mo comes to town, you want to fan the flame, man. You want to keep that thing going because you guys know if you've created momentum. I mean, Chris almost single-handedly created the greatest story in the history of network marketing, in my opinion, one of the greatest stories. And he knows it's like a car that's broken down on the side of the road, and you're like, man, I got to get out and push this thing. And you get out and you start pushing it. You put your hands on it. Now, if you're lucky, somebody sees you and they feel sorry for you. They're driving by and they feel sorry for you, so they get out and they say, I'm going to help this Chris guy. And so they get out and they join your mission. They join your cause, whatever it is, the cause might be. But they start pushing that car with you. The car starts moving a little bit easier for you. And then before long, maybe a third and a fourth and a fifth. Before long, the car is moving. Really, you could almost kind of step back and take your hands off the car because there's other people pushing now, and you could kind of step back. Even if everybody took their hands off, the car would probably keep rolling for a little while. But eventually, it's going to come to a dead halt if nobody's pushing, right? So you want to protect momentum, and that's what Chris Estes did. He created and protected momentum, and I'm telling you guys, I love that he talks about this because people say, well, I'll hope it happens. I'll sit around, I'll wait, and maybe it'll happen for me. Listen, guys, if you want momentum, you better force it. You better say, if it's to be, it's up to me. I'm going to go out and do this thing. I'm going to do the deal, and I'm going to force it. Momentum is not something that happens to you, right? Momentum is something that happens because of you. It's something where you actually get out and you push the car. And then if you can create a culture, you can create a scenario, an environment that's conducive for growth, and you can recruit a few other people into your vision. You can recruit a few other people that say, you know what, I want to be a part of whatever that is. Team Elite, that sounds good to me. I want to be a part of that culture because I feel like I can get in there, I can get planted, and I can grow. I can create growth in my life, in my business, whatever it might be. So you want to create that culture, and if you can do that, man, you can create momentum. But once you get it, listen, don't get cute. This is something Chris taught me. Chris taught me, he said, don't get cute. Listen, when you get some momentum, and I've done it, Chris, you've seen me. Listen, I see you laughing. Listen, I've went out and hit a six-figure rank, and then I said, well, I'm pretty special now. I think I'll sit back and watch everybody else do stuff. Get in management mode. I'm telling you, you don't want to do that, man. Because listen, when you get back out and have to push that car, and it's like starting from the beginning, you don't want to do that, man. So when you get momentum, protect it, but you got to force it. It's not going to happen by accident. I love that you talk about that. And so, last question, if I can just ask this last question. And by the way, thank you so much for your time. Everybody, drop some emojis down. Let Chris know how much you value this. This guy's a multi-million-dollar earner, quite possibly the most inspiring, definitely the most unique, quite possibly the most incredible story in the last decade at least inside of network marketing. And out of the 130 people watching right now, probably a lot of you have never heard his story. And that's because he don't care about the fame. He don't have to go speak on the big stages, and he don't have to go showboat. Listen, he's living life unlimited with his family. He's traveling the world having fun, and he's earned that, right? And so, but what I'm saying is that this is quite possibly one of the most incredible, it's definitely one of the most incredible, it's quite possibly the most incredible story in the last decade. So if you haven't hit share yet, share this, because this is going to benefit some people. And this last question is the question of the night. And I promise you this is going to be valuable for you, because here's the deal. It's not about Chris, it's about the story. I'm telling you that if Chris can do it, if I can do it, if some of the people watching this can do it, you can too. And it's not easy. But guess what? Nothing of significance, nothing worthwhile is ever easy. But I promise you it's worth it. And so, Chris, let's talk about, I think people go through, people like you, people like me, people that are willing to do the deal, and they're willing to stick it out, man, and be loyal. Like they're willing to be loyal to their own cause, their own dream. They're willing to do the thing that they said they would do long after the feeling or emotion leaves them, right? They're willing to be committed. For those types of people, they got some grit. They got a fire in their belly, and they believe in something bigger, right? For those types of people, I'm telling you, they can do this, and it's going to be worth it for them. And so we need to instill belief in some of these people. There's somebody watching this right now that's going to be a seven-figure earner in network marketing and had never done network marketing before, but they're going to go out and believe it. They're going to do it because they're watching this right now. And so let's talk a little bit about, what does life look like now? what's possible for you after having so much success, after earning tens of millions of dollars, after helping other people earn millions of dollars, after creating one of the largest and most successful global international empires in network marketing all over the world, after getting into the 1% of network marketing, after doing all of this stuff. What does life look like now? Maybe kind of paint a picture of just what's possible for the average guy, like you, like me, like everybody watching this.
Yeah, so Brandon, you got on a rampage right there, man. You were talking about shooting quotes, man. You're on fire right there. It's always great to do calls, do events with you, man.
I stole most of it,
and I stole it from somebody else. So, man, we copy the right cat. That's all you got to do in this thing is be a copycat. But things are a lot different today, Brandon, say 10 years in than it was 5 years ago, certainly 7 years ago. And I hope that my story kind of concludes with a form of massive hope for people that if you want something more and you're willing to pay the price, you're willing to go out, build with speed, follow and plug into an incredible team or create one if you have the skills to do that if you'll compress those efforts, network marketing is not a job. Maybe you put that in your notes. This is not a job. This is not something that you're going to have to plug in 60 hours, 80 hours, 25 hours a week for the rest of your life. That's not its purpose. That's not what we trained and teach and sold. And Brandon, again, I'm one of the people I like to be true to my word. If I say it, I want to follow through with it. And what we sold as we built this culture is that there's an opportunity here if you'll take the hits, if you'll pay the price, if you'll follow the system and our training and get plugged into our support, that you'll have options. Now, I can't say that everyone's going to be able to retire a multimillionaire. I can't say that people, and I don't even like the word retire. I can't say that you're going to earn six figures. What I can say is if you'll plug in, you'll have choices and options that would have never been possible if you had just stayed at your current profession, job, or whatever. And so now, Brandon, we have something called balance. What you said earlier that I used to say is if you'll be temporarily unbalanced, you'll have the ability to be permanently balanced, or the choice to be permanently balanced. And what I love about what network marketing has provided my family is, for me, I have a kid 5 years old, 8, 9, 10. That's the ages of our 4 kids. And let me tell you something special about that. If I had stayed on the course of just teaching school, guess who I'd be teaching and coaching tomorrow? Not my own kids. I'd be teaching and raising everybody else's kids. But because I chose to be fearful and scared and do it anyway, because I chose to do what other people said was crazy, because I chose to go against the grain, go against what other people were saying, and pay that price, now 10 years later, I have that balance to have freedom. You're big on the word freedom, and I have it, folks. I don't think you understand. If you know, you understand when you have freedom. And Brandon, I love the ownership for nobody to dictate my day. There ain't nobody that can tell me, Chris, you got to be here. I'm dictating what I do, when I do it, with who I do it, where I do it. And so I love, folks, if you've never had that, that's something you should be, at least for me, man, I was ready to break down a brick wall for it. And that's really what I kept doing. I kept banging my head, and finally I found there was a door. I could open it, and then I was able to go in there. But it's like some of y'all are just banging your head, and there's a door. It's open. Open the door and walk through. So now there's a balance. There's choices. There's options. Not that, listen, I still serve my company. I still participate in many activities, but it's on my time. I get to dictate the schedule. And then I get to invest in my family. I get to invest in other things that are important. I've said it before, Brandon, I think there's good people and bad people out there, more good than bad. You all have to ask yourself, are you a good person? And if you are, shouldn't you be the one making all the money? You want the bad people out there to have the money or the good people? Well, at least for me, Brandon, I've learned through education, personal development, mentor, some incredible financial literacy components. And I think I'm trying to get as much money as I can because I do good things with money. That's my belief. That's what I know. And so I like supporting, we were in Haiti just a month or so ago supporting a ministry that we work closely with. That's not to brag or boast. You can call it whatever you want. So, now he's bragging. No, you can call it what you want. That's not enough for. But what's cool about it is I get to do things that I would have never been able to do, Brandon, because I understand the power of what money can do. Money provides choices and options. Most of you would be a giver if you had more. Well, go get more. Go out and get more, pay the price, get plugged into the right people that will build you up, raise your belief and confidence, and then you'll have the choices to.
All right, so I think we lost him real quick. Hopefully we'll be able to get him right back. All right, we got his wife, Lindsay.
Man, we went so long, my phone went dead, brother.
Listen, that's my fault. Hey,
No,
I told you we'd be. I said, man, we'll be in and out.
There, but it's what's awesome is the end result of doing your job. Our kids, we tell them, do your job. There's an expectation for you to do your job, and once you know what you know, it's a travesty for you not to feel an obligation to go out and do more for your family, do more for your community, do more for the people that now are relying on you to give them a vehicle, to give them hope that they can go out and do something bigger and better. And so that's where we are, Brandon. We are living the dream. We are very thankful. We express incredible gratitude for all of those who believed when they didn't have to. There was no success behind this guy. They were just banking off of that excitement, that enthusiasm, that conviction for where I knew we were going because I spoke those words every single day. I'm a believer in speaking the words, man. People make fun of that kind of stuff, but there's stats that will prove that to be on point, man. I used to say every day, this might be the day. That was my attitude. This might be the day, man. I find the Brandon Hayes. This could be the day. I'm going to make it happen. And so I spoke those words into existence, and guess what? There comes a Brandon Hayes. There comes another leader because I was speaking it, man. I was getting hit, knocked down, and all of that then led to where we are. So, man, I'm super thankful for this industry of network marketing. My mentor, Paul Orbison, I think is one of the greatest networkers, maybe the greatest to ever live. He personally mentored me. I try to share a lot of his trainings and teachings that I was able to learn from him. He once told me, he said, Chris, network marketing is the absolute worst way to make a living, except all the other ways to make a living, which puts it at the very top of the list. And so there's a lot of things you don't have to like about network marketing, but if you look at the result, if you look at what it produces, man, there's nothing better than true freedom. And I know you're a freedom fighter, Brandon. I know many people on this call, you're freedom fighters as well. Let's go fight the good fight. Let's go out there and provide and share some freedom for all of those who want something more than what they have. So, Brandon, thanks so much, man, for inviting me here on your call tonight.
Yeah. Hey, I know I took more time from you than I anticipated. Can I add a couple other little things in?
Dude,
and maybe
just pepper in a call. It's your call, brother.
Man, hey, folks, we're gonna keep him on here all night. No, I'm just kidding. So here's the thing. You so much gold was dropped there. In fact, just share this. If you haven't shared it yet, share it. Drop some fire emojis down in the comments. And listen, if you just that segment alone, just go back and watch that segment because so much gold was dropped there. But what he talked about, what he's able to do, give back. I love that he says, listen, I'm a good person. I'm going to do good things with the money. So if you believe that about yourself, some of you don't believe that yet because you don't have a high self-image. But if you believe that, then listen, let's go do this thing, man. Let's go do what you need to do. Do your job, man. Accomplish what you need to accomplish so that you can go do the things you need to do. Something you didn't mention, I happen to know this. You've done things, not just for the less fortunate. Like when you started building the culture, building the team, you went and actually, like you took your whole team to Bora Bora, for example. Like you rewarded your people. Most people never even been to Bora Bora. They've never even been to.
Where's that, man? Where's that at? Where's that at?
Exactly. You took the team to Bora Bora. And you've done all these different things to reward your people, and it all ties in together. It's all what makes it magical. This experience. Listen, life's an epic adventure if you'll make it that. One thing that you've taught me, Chris, and that I've added to my mantra or my life motto. I believe in words too, man. We wake up, we have a morning meeting. We start our day with positive affirmations. Annie Grace was just born. We're creating her positive affirmations that we're going to start our day reading those to her. And when she can speak, she'll speak those. So we know the power of the word, the power of life and death, man. What are you speaking? What are you saying? What are you thinking? Right. And so, but one of the things that I started speaking because I heard you say it is that life will give you whatever you will accept, but life will also give you whatever you'll fight for. And when I sat down with you the very first time, Chris, I said, man, I don't know everything. I'm in a different company right now. I don't know everything, but I know that this guy, I know he's going to fight for me. He's going to fight for what his cause is. I know that he's going to be in the trenches with me. So some of you just need to raise your belief and be able to pound your fist on the table at a sit down at a Panera Bread with some young snot-nosed kid like me sitting there and say, listen, come with me because we're going to change the world. Some of you need to be able to pound your fist on the table with some conviction and some belief and say, I don't know what you're doing right now, but listen, what we're about to go do is going to be epic, and it's going to change the world. And so that's what Chris did for me. And so I wonder if we could finish, if we could just close down, because I know that there's some people watching this. They have challenges. They have people taking shots at them. They got the fire hose out, like you taught us, Chris. They're going to come out with the fire hose. They're going to try to put that fire out. That's why we got all the fire emojis popping up down here. They're going to try to put the fire out. And I know that you had those people. There's fire starters, there's fire lighters, and there's firefighters, right? But I know that you had one particular, and I just love this story. I think it's a great story. It'll relate to a lot of people because they all have, everybody watching this has their version. You taught me get your disappointments over early. Talk to your friends, family, coworkers first. And one particular story that you shared just related to me and relates to so many people because they all have their own version of Mr. Kool-Aid. And I thought maybe we could just end this tonight by you sharing that because it's not easy. This thing's not easy. Anything worthwhile and significance is not easy, but it's worth it. We've went through the whole story here. We've shared one of the most epic stories in the last decade of network marketing, quite possibly the most unique. Only been in one company, folks. First time in business, first time in network marketing, #1 earner in the company, has absolutely smashed it. Go look up businessforhome.org. Go look up, look at the GoPro stages, look at the ANMPs, look at all of it. I've done it. I've spoken on those. I'm in the business for home. I've spoken on GoPro and ANMP. And guys, I hadn't done what he's done. I hadn't seen anybody that's done what he's done in that short a period of time, #1 earner, and done it in his first company. I hadn't seen it. You can say what you want about Chris, but I hadn't seen that. And so what I'm telling you is a unique story. It's a powerful story. And I'm not trying to make his head too big, but I want him to know that I definitely appreciate everything that he's done in my life. Listen, I talk about freedom. I'm free, guys. I haven't had a job because of that guy right there. I hadn't had a job since I was 24 years old. That's unbelievable. It's ridiculous. That's silly. I've earned a 6-figure income, doubled or almost doubled my income every year since I met him, right? And I haven't had to work a job, hadn't had to work for somebody else since I was 24 years old. I'll be 32 this year. Guys, you can't put a price on that. My daughter was just born. I was in the NICU for 2 months, almost 2 months in the hospital. I was there every single day without a money worry, without a time worry. I didn't have a boss to report to. Why? Because I followed that guy right there. Because I believe when he was at Panera Bread with me, he pounded his fist on the table with some conviction. I said, I don't know what all he's doing, but that team elite, that culture, I said, I want to be a part of whatever that is. And that transference of belief that he gave me. So why don't we close down real quick, Chris, with the Kool-Aid story, and we'll just kind of end it that way.
Absolutely, Brandon. Congrats to you, man. I'm so proud of you. And anybody that's plugged into you, man, what a great benefit for them, for you to provide a platform to educate and to create value, to create nuggets for them to apply for free that they can get. And that's just something special that you offer to the community in network marketing. But, man, the story's kind of funny now, but I can tell you and assure you it was not funny back in 2008 and 9, man. There wasn't anything funny. All of you, and I think he's asking me to share this story because all of us have a Kool-Aider. All of us have somebody, whether it be a coworker, a family member, a community member, or a combination of the three, that are pointing fingers, talking about us, making fun of us. And for 2 years, Brandon, as I was teaching and coaching, I would walk into my school every day, and I would hear this guy. He was bigger than me. I mean, I beat him up in my head several times, but he was bigger than me, so I just had to let it go. And he would say, Kool-Aid, Kool-Aid, Chris is drinking the Kool-Aid, selling the Kool-Aid. And I had to hear that every single day for 2 years. And Brandon, that was tough, especially during the tough days. And I had many tough days, many tough weeks. There was adversity. We had an ice storm shut our business down for more than a month. I mean, I almost had to start over. And that was tough. And we talk about making a list, right? You make your list, people who you think would be good in the business. I had a special list called Make 'em Pay, man. He was at the top of the list. And some of you, that could be your nugget for today, is create a Make 'em Pay list. Now, I wasn't rude to this guy. I basically went in and put my blinders on. I did my job at my work. In between, I was making calls, but I was always in a make 'em pay mentality, Brandon, because during those tough times when I was like, man, I don't want to travel 3 hours one way to go maybe see or not see somebody tonight, and maybe they'll enroll, maybe they won't, maybe they'll do something, maybe they won't. I don't really want to do that tonight, but I did it because I didn't want to hear Kool-Aid forever. And so what happened is I was able to walk away from teaching and coaching in the classroom to teaching and coaching on an international scale in a network marketing company. And it wasn't a couple weeks after, maybe it's a couple months after I walked away from teaching, I got an email from Mr. Kool-Aid that he said, Chris, we're so proud of you for all the success that you're having. Our class is doing a fundraiser, and I know the kids would absolutely love it if you supported them. And so this was my chance, man. I was fired up. And so what I did is I responded, and I said, absolutely. You know, I believe, folks, that some of our best paybacks is to simply give back, to express and show our gratitude that, you know what, you don't know it, Mr. Kool-Aid, but you drove me on my tough days. You drove me to keep going and keep fighting. And so I said, absolutely. And then I said, P.S., thank God for the Kool-Aid. And so, folks, you have those Kool-Aiders. All of us have some. Let them be a drive for you. Let them move you to the next day, because you never know where you're going to find the next Brandon Hayes of your business. Brandon, what an awesome call. Thanks for bringing some great stuff out in me. Thanks for all that you shared, man. And thanks for all of you who tuned in and watched, whether it's live or on a replay. Thanks so much, Brandon. And I've learned to get into this saying of I believe your best days are just ahead. So get your hopes up, folks. Thanks, Brandon.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Chris. I appreciate you, my friend. All right, guys. From what I consider to be the best story in network marketing in the last 10 years. And listen, I've studied this stuff, guys. I've studied it my entire adult life. Since I was 18 years old, I've been studying network marketing. I've looked at all the success stories, and there are some amazing success stories. There are some, I've seen them pop up on here. I've seen some legends in the industry pop up on here, and this is no discredit to them. It's no discredit to anybody, but what I'm telling you is that I have very rarely ever seen someone in their very first company become the top earner, earn tens of millions of dollars, create hundreds of thousands of distributors all over the world, build a team and a culture like what was created with Chris Estes. He's done something very special, very unique, and it's lasted. See, that's the key. It stood the test of time. It stuck and it stayed. And so this guy is a guy that was literally mentored directly by two people that I have a lot of respect for. I didn't mention this on the front end, but so hopefully you've stuck around to the back end, you've caught this. Chris was mentored from a leadership perspective directly by John C. Maxwell, who of course is he's the leadership authority. He's the leadership guru of the 21st century, and he was literally the person that taught us that leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. And Chris has created a massive amount of influence and has done it without speaking on the big stages, without going out. He's done it organically. He's done it literally person by person, and has done it with pretty much all new networkers, people that have never been in network marketing before. So he's done that because he's learned these concepts from people like John C. Maxwell. He mentioned another mentor of his, somebody that I had the pleasure of meeting at the very first big event that I went to that Chris put on, which was Paul Orbison. Paul Orbison has got one of the most incredible stories in the history of network marketing as well. And Paul he actually earned $1 million a month for, I think it was like 36 or 40 months, something like that, but over 3 years in a row, every month. So we're not talking about the money that he earned prior to getting to $1 million a month. We're not talking about the money that he earned post or after he was no longer earning $1 million a month, but he earned $1 million a month for like 3 years, guys, in a row. And so Chris was directly mentored by that individual in terms of network marketing. So he got his network marketing knowledge from Paul Orbison. He got his leadership knowledge from John C. Maxwell, who he's still friends with to this day, and it's pretty cool. He actually called me. He was with John Maxwell. He actually called me and put me on the phone with John. It was pretty cool. But anyway, the point is this, guys. Who are you attached to? Who are you linked up with? Who are you connected with? Are you connected with people that are going to help you grow through life? Or are you connected with people that are satisfied and content by poking at you and making fun of you and just letting you go through life? Guys, I'm telling you, choose growth. Let's grow in 2018. Let's do something big. Let's do something special. Let's go out and change the world together. And so hopefully this has been valuable for you. If you've got some value from this, drop your favorite emoji down in the comments. Thank you for sharing, all the people that shared this. I tried to catch a few of you. We had a lot of content to throw out. I'm going to go back and look to see who all shared this. So share this with people if you think they would get value from it as well. I hope this has been good for you tonight. I hope you learned something. I know I've got a ton of notes. I've got stuff written down all over the place. I hope you do too. And with that, guys, I'm going to close it down. And I hope you have an incredible rest of your week and rest of your 2018 as well. And with that, I'll close it down. I love you. I appreciate you. I will see you next time. God bless.